Okay, hello everyone. Yeah, this is a very special hybrid type of event where, we're listening on headphones. Thank you, Anita. I'm Līna, and today I'm welcoming you to the Morph stage where we, as Riga TechGirls, are trying to talk about diversity and inclusion and introduce the topics and the research that we've done throughout the years, throughout all our organization's work, and talk about the things that we've noticed are the most important ones and are the key ones that we should talk about in technology, in tech, among startups, and so on. So before we start, and before we bring on today's discussions, and we'll follow on until 2:30 with discussions that we've come up with and we've organized together here for you, specifically about diversity and inclusion. And before that, I just wanted to talk briefly about Riga TechGirls, what we do, why do we do it, and also to talk about some of the key topics that we wanted to bring today to these discussions, and to kind of bring you into all of these topics and all of this research and the key problems, so that you go into these discussions already knowing what we know and why we do this, and kind of understanding what is this all about. Maybe you heard some of these things, but if you haven't, hopefully this will be kind of like a bit interesting for you. So starting off, we as Riga TechGirls are the main organization in Latvia that we aim to empower women and girls to be architects of the future. We are the only community in Latvia aimed at educating and inspiring women and girls about all things digital. So not only technology, we want to bring digital skills to their homes and to them and to women and to girls. So why do we do this? Until 2025, there will be at least 20,000 IT talents missing. And this is a very common thing that most of us know. Most of us are trying to look for them. The startups are very well aware that they're looking for IT professionals, and it's kind of a tough job to find them. However, only 22.7% of all of these IT professionals are women in Latvia, which kind of brings about quite a lot of females, quite a lot of workforce, quite a lot of employees that are not actually being in this very, very profitable workforce. So we want to do this because we want to provide equal opportunities for everyone. We're not saying that everyone needs to be an IT professional. We're not saying that everyone needs to be in IT. We want to provide those that want to be in there, those that think that it could be a profession for them, especially at the very beginning, but especially at the start, and for girls too, to think about this and think about IT as a profession, as a field that is welcoming to them, that gives them opportunities, and that is not geared towards, and it doesn't have a stereotype towards being only a male field. So we want to provide these equal opportunities that everyone and anyone can do what they love and decide on what to do. And most importantly, we want to turn IT consumers into creators. We want the women and also the men to become not only the ones who use this technology, but also build them. To build better products, to build more diverse products, to build products for the whole society and not only specific people. That is very common. So how do we do this? Firstly and foremostly, the most important thing is that we build a community. We try to build a community that develops digital skills. We develop trainings to support prosperity of women and the society in general. We create networking events. We share with the women and our participants. We try to give them a supportive environment. Those who want to be in IT, those who think about maybe wanting to be in IT, and those who are already there. We want to provide a community where they have someone to share their ideas with, to share their information with, to share their experiences with, and feel like they're not alone in there. And this is actually a field for all of them. And there's so many women already in there, and there's so many role models. So the community is the first and foremost thing that we do in here to bring these women and to work towards having more females in IT. And I wanted to talk about some of the key, like an overview topics of the research that we've done throughout the years. In the past couple of years, there have been two major researches that we've helped to organize or helped to participate with other organizations, specifically about women in IT in Latvia. And in many of the cases, this applies to not only Latvia, but all the other countries in Europe, at least as well. So one of the research that we've done is, or Providus has done in 2020 is also about women in IT. And then together with 180 Degrees Consulting, we did research in women in ICT in Latvia that happened this year and closed this year in January, basically. So what did we find out, and what can we bring out from this research? And as I said, some of these things are fairly common, maybe heard, but we want to kind of pressure them onto you and keep you aware of all of them, because they will all show up in the discussions that we've introduced today. So why are girls not pursuing IT? Not enough role models. That is one of the key things that, for example, math teachers, teachers in the sciences, they don't see women in there, they don't see the girls in there. So they don't empathize, they don't feel like they can become also a part of this profession because they don't see themselves in this profession. Fear of not having good math skills. This is a very, very interesting one because at least in Latvia, girls are the ones who have higher grades in maths. And despite that, they very rarely choose IT professions, saying that this is one of the key reasons that they're afraid that they don't have this skill as good. They're afraid that they're not as good in maths and sciences, despite the fact that they have better results throughout the classes, throughout the years, and throughout until the last grade. Obviously, unconscious bias. This we've seen quite a lot in various researches, starting from the kids and going on into your early adulthood and so on, giving girls specific toys, introducing girls to specific activities and so on, and giving the boys more chances to be a part of the IT, getting them into programming activities, maths activities, more like tinkering activities that introduce analytical thinking. But the girls, we bring them to dancing classes, we bring them to ballet classes and drawing classes, and they're also very important. But there's a very key distinction on how we do this with girls and how we do this with men, introducing this feeling that this is a profession for them, this is a field for them more than it is for boys. And disadvantage from a young age in IT is the thing that I was talking about just before. The programming and the IT information is more available to the boys from a very young age, and they're introduced to this, they're encouraged to this. There's specific wording that is introduced in their childhood and throughout the years of their young adulthood as well. Moving on to why are not so many women in IT, which brings us to similar, but sometimes very often different results, because we don't only see women not pursuing these careers after they are maybe aware of these unconscious biases and stereotypes. We also see quite a lot of women leaving IT. Those ones who go into programming, those ones who go into IT for various reasons, they also leave this field. So lack of information about the field and professions. They don't know it, they don't know about it, they don't know the opportunities in there. They have the stereotype what this field could be, but they don't have more specific information about it and how it would be like. Biased job advertisements. There's quite a lot of really interesting articles about this, of how specific wording already introduces you, and once we as very often females read it, they're already wording that we feel like that is a male position. So they're looking for someone who's male, or who is a male and who's oriented towards like a specific type of personality. And maybe you don't identify with the ninjas and the techies, but it doesn't make you a worse IT professional, it doesn't make you a worse programmer. But those are the very key points that are seen more and more. And there's really, really interesting research that I introduce you to look into, a Financial Times article where companies introduce different kinds of wording and saw a big increase in the applications from women to their IT professions, just specifically from changing the wording and changing the specific words that they use in their applications, from trying to shift from kind of macho and bold ones to trying to introduce more like critical, analytical, and organizational words. Unconscious bias in the workplace culture and fear of safety. This is one of the most common reasons why women leave the workplace and leave the IT sphere. They very often feel like they are excluded. And this comes not only from the females who feel this way. This from the research comes also from the males who say that it is so and agree that very often when they have female colleagues, they don't feel like they're a part of the team. They feel like they need to speak to them in a different language, and they don't try to bring them into their team culture. So the team culture is a big one in actually keeping the women into the workplace and creating a team culture that is inclusive, diverse, and empathetic from all sides of the perspective. And lack of other females in the workplace and lack of networking. That is also one of the things why very often we see females leaving because they don't feel like they can get higher into the positions. They don't have the support from other females. They don't see other females in higher positions in their workplace, so they don't have those aspirations and they don't have those ambitions because they don't see themselves in these higher roles. They don't see themselves in these positions, and it's hard to find this. And imagine situations where it's only males who in your team culture are not very welcoming, and you also don't see females in the higher positions. I think it's a very common reason to not feel like you belong in your workplace, whatever that workplace is, and especially if it's IT, and a very good reason to try and leave it. So what can we do? Well, actually, there's quite a lot that we can do, apart of just waiting until the society changes or just accepting how it is. There's a lot of things that we can do separately as tech professionals, each of us. And there's a lot of the things that we can do as startups, as founders, as CDOs, as people who work in organizations. So first and foremost, role models. Having female role models in IT, and that doesn't only qualify as being a developer female role model, it also qualifies into other fields, and bringing that information to women and girls that IT doesn't just consist of developers, it also consists of other various professions. And those ones also go under the ICT, and those ones maybe they could find a place in and they could find interesting. So work with media to change stereotypes. This is very common. Also, bring your CTOs, bring your developers, talk about women in an equal way that you're talking about men in the IT fields, and bring them forward, bring those role models forward, but also think about the language that you're using, and work with media also to bring this language in, and show them, in case you can, pinpoint those incorrect words and pinpoint those unequal languages whenever you can. Work with companies to improve team culture. This is one of the biggest ones. Obviously, it doesn't go for everyone, but it is something that you can do in your team culture, in your own organizations, in your own companies. But it's also something that we can work towards in general, having a more empathetic, more inclusive community, thinking about how everyone else, how all your teammates, and that doesn't only involve women, it could involve other minorities. How are they feeling? Do they feel like they belong in your team culture? Do they feel like they can be the best of themselves, be ambitious, and be better in their IT profession that they're in? And think about how you can make your team better. Include safety measures. This is also one of a big topic that women feel like they don't feel safe very often in the workplace, and doesn't mean also physically. It's emotionally. You feel like there could be occasions where there's unequal language. There's language that makes you feel worse or bad in your workplace, and you don't have anyone to talk to, and you don't have anyone to trust to talk about this. So including safety measures and talking about this, and having a clear set step-by-step process in your team culture and in your company, that includes how you can tell those who feel like they're unsafe, they've been in some way harassed, that they have these steps to take, and they have specific people, specific guidelines on how to report this, and they feel like they can trust someone, and they feel like they can share these things. Create networks and opportunities. Obviously, we're also here. Talk to women, talk to everyone, but also talk to women, and try to be friendly and try to be inclusive. Somewhere people are shy. Women in IT especially tend to be shy because they always feel like they're, not always, but very often they can feel like they're not enough. So go talk to women as well in IT, and talk to everyone, and be open and open-minded and inclusive. Community and support, this goes to, with the previous thing that I said, creating a community of women goes a very, very long way. Especially, very common thing that I've seen is women creating female communities and trying to bring each other, and founders and techies and female techies together in WhatsApp chats, and trying to support each other and have that feeling that there's someone else like them in there that they can share their feelings with. Okay, and so also create opportunities to study and qualify in IT. That is a lot of the things that we do, entry positions in IT, and also mentioning that 3 times more women from ICT professions were self-taught rather than attended ICT programs at university. So this kind of showcases to you that that quite often females do come into these professions, do come into IT from other positions that they've done before, from other professions, from other fields. They go into this and they overqualify to these professions. So there's quite a lot of opportunity to overqualify women to the IT field. And these are the things that we also do as Riga TechGirls. This is kind of like a pitch from us, and will sound like what we do. We also do these workshops, and this is in case there's always looking for people to do workshops in IT. We do meetups to inspire women to talk, to know more, to have more role models in technology, and as founders especially. We have Discover Tech program that teaches about the basics of IT and tries to bring forward women who are not even considering IT to know more about the IT fields and what does it even offer. We have mentorship programs for those who are already in IT and want to have more ambitious goals and want to step forward and have that career progression. She Goes Tech scholarships with Accenture, where we offer women to study coding in different languages and then enter the IT professions. Hackathons that try to involve more women and invite them to think of entrepreneurial activities. Working tech programs that try to bring them into IT support specialist roles, and also showcase that the IT world is so wide and doesn't only consist of developers. Summer school, and we try to include girls and work with girls as well. And all of this we do together with all of this, we do quite a lot of events throughout the years trying to bring more women into this. And just to finish off, we don't do it alone, obviously, because you as organizations, as startups, as companies, are the ones that we need help with, and you're the ones who are actually creating the actual change, and you're the ones who are doing this change and including women in your workplaces and supporting them and creating that team culture where they feel like they can work and they feel safe enough to be empowered and ambitious enough to have higher goals in IT. So these are the partners that we work together with and we create these programs with, and we couldn't do all of this without them, including obviously media partners, because I pressured on the fact that media is a really good friend to have, and they're always there, that you need to have impact on them, and we need to talk about the media on how we change these stereotypes and how we bring these communities and these workshops and these teachings forward. Okay.